3 common mistakes that beginners make in their Poomsae. Hey guys, my name is Samery and welcome to my channel. On this channel, we go over everything related to Taekwondo. So if you like sparring, Poomsae, cardio, learning how to kick higher, martial arts weapons, then you're gonna love the videos that we have on here for you. Right now, I'm definitely pregnant. I just hit the 30-week mark and I wanted to do a video on Poomsae because I'm trying to do a lot of teaching videos right now while I can't do as many kicks. Last month, I actually got to compete in our Utah State Taekwondo Championship while I was 6 months pregnant, and I felt so grateful that I was able to win the gold medal in Poomsae. So what I wanted to do in this video was just point out some beginner Poomsae mistakes so that you can notice if you're doing them, and then also show you different ways that you can do to fix them, especially if you have a tournament coming up, or if you just want to get better at Poomsae, or if you have a belt testing. These are going to be super helpful for you. Before we get started with the video, make sure that you leave a comment with what belt you are or how long you've been training, and also what Poomsae or what form that you are working on. Let's just go ahead and get started with the video. All right, beginner common mistake number 1. If you have kicks in your Poomsae, a lot of the times you won't even notice that you're doing this, but stepping before kicking. So here's what I mean. In Taekwondo Iljan, we have a spot where we turn, high block, then we have a kick. So people will, have an awesome stance, awesome block, they'll move their hands up to fighting stance, and then right before they kick, they're gonna do a step. So if you notice right here, ready? Watch this. Okay, so sometimes it's going to be a small step. Some people do a bigger step. What we want to do is get rid of that movement. And this is for 2 main reasons. The first reason is we want to get rid of any extra movements that we're doing. It's unnecessary, wasted energy, and it's going to throw off your distance if you keep doing it sometimes and sometimes not. So from here, high block, what you want to do is just make sure that that foot is staying in its spot before kicking. Another big reason why we want to focus on this is because if you're doing this, you're going to create a habit. Now, when you're sparring, you might be in your fighting stance and you might get used to that same stepping before kicking habit. And if you have a smart opponent, they're going to pick up on this and they're going to say hey, every time before she kicks with her back leg, she's doing this step. Now I know that every time she steps, she's coming in with that back leg. So they're going to read it and they're going to respond to it, maybe turn back kick. Maybe they're going to get ready to cover and then follow up and get a point. But the point is you don't want them to start learning those little habits that you don't even know you have. So we're going to make sure that we practice, check your form, and make sure you don't have that step before kicking. Beginner common mistake number 2, not chambering your hand that is not striking. Here's what I mean. I'm going to use Taekwondo Iljan for example. So starting off in my Junbi stance, okay, let's go ahead and just do this side. So here I'm going to go low block. What is this hand doing? Okay, right here, sometimes we're focusing so much on adding power on what our hand that is striking or blocking is doing that we totally forget the opposite hand. Okay, so same thing. Maybe you're going to be doing the other side and you're going block, punch. Okay, what's this backhand doing? It should be chambered at its spot. So if your hand isn't doing a strike, it's still important to make sure that it is in control where you want it to be on purpose. One thing that's going to help you kind of fix this is really learning about the strike. So anytime that you do a punch, you're not just using your arm to, to use only the arm muscles to do that punch. You got to make sure that you use your whole body for it. So when you're punching, you're going to be turning your hips, you're stepping forward, and you're using this backhand. My sister has this awesome way of reminding kids, and she says that anytime that you're doing a punch forward, you want to make sure that your elbow comes so far back that you're breaking a board behind you. Okay, it's like you're elbowing someone behind you. So at the same time, so from my block, I step forward, just as much power and attention I give to this front hand that's punching. I'm going to make sure that I offset that and I connect my whole body by using that hand and making sure that it's chambered as well. Okay, you want to make sure you keep your core tight, your body stable, and just make sure that you offset it anywhere that you go. So for example, in another part of the form, let's use Taekwondo Samjan for example. Okay, same thing. I block, hand is chambered, hands come up. I don't step before I kick. We already talked about that one. Kick, punch, punch. Okay, break that board behind you. Hold that punch strong, stance strong, perfect. Okay, so make sure that you watch to see if that's one of the Poomsae mistakes that you do. Beginner Poomsae mistake number 3. This one is super common, and I see it because people are rushing and they're trying to get to the next part of the form without finishing the first part. Here's what it looks like. Tell me if you can catch it. Okay, we're gonna do Taekwondo Sajang. All right, did you notice my back heel didn't finish its stance and it came all the way up? The heel came off the ground. So watch, ready? So right here, I'm in my front stance, and maybe you can't see, I'll lift up my leg, but my heel is off. And from here, this isn't a stable stance, okay? You gotta make sure that you finish, you're super stable, finish the move, and then move on to the next step, okay? So this is a common Poomsae mistake that I see all the time, where we're focusing too much on what's next and we forget about finishing the motion that we're doing in the moment. So just like that, for example, let's use another example of Taekwondo Iljan, okay? So low block here, stepping forward, punch, okay? You can even do it in a walking stance where you're ready to go for the next one and you don't finish your moves. So that's another common mistake that I see. Make sure you take the time to figure out what it is that you need to do to finish your move before you move over to the next side. All right, we're at the end of the video, and I said that I would give you some tips on how to improve these so that you're not making these mistakes. If you don't know, or if you haven't been told, or if you're not sure that you do these, here's an easy way. Take your phone, prop it up somewhere, or a camera, do your Poomsae and do it like for real. That way you can make sure that you're doing it not just like, you know, walking through the motions, but do it for real. And notice, like, slow it down. So slow-mo the video and just go frame by frame and say like, hey, is my hand where it's supposed to be? Is my stance all the way finished? Did I do that step before I kicked? Because sometimes it's easy to not think about it because you can't see it as you're doing it. But if you take a video of yourself, then you can slow it down and actually watch back to make sure you're not doing it. Now, ways to fix them. What you're gonna wanna do is practice section by section. So if you're working on Poomsae Taekwondo Iljan, I would literally do 1, 2, 3, 4, back to Junbi, okay? If you have a problem with forgetting to chamber this hand, then we're gonna do those same 4 moves over and over again. We're gonna do it 5 reps, and we're just gonna focus on remembering to break a board behind me. Okay, ready? So 1, 2, 3, 4, back to Junbi. We don't want to go further than that because then it's going to be a little bit harder to fix each section. So we're just going to try and focus on one section of the form. Once you've got it down and you notice that you're doing great, you're no longer making that mistake, then you can add on the next section, maybe add on 2 more steps next. If you're stepping before kicking, once again, you're going to break it down into the section, but here's what you're going to do. So from that low block, before I kick, I'm going to make sure that all I'm gonna do is focus on what that foot is doing. So I'm not even gonna do the kick yet. I'm just gonna move my hands into a fighting stance and I'm just gonna lift my knee up and focus on the rotation and just bringing your knee up rather than the whole kick. So low block, knee, okay? We're gonna do that like 5 to 10 times just to make sure that we have it down in our heads. Hands up, knee, okay? Once you're getting good and comfortable with that, you're gonna add in the kick. So here, low block, kick, land, punch, okay? So you're gonna just break it down little by little, and then once you have it down, you can add a little bit more. A good way to make sure that you're finishing your stances and not wobbling because you wanna rush through it is by doing a take a snapshot approach. Here's what I mean. So here, low block, step forward, punch. Okay, when you get to this stance, okay, if it's a problem that you normally have in a front stance, what you're gonna do is imagine that somebody's taking a picture of you. You're gonna count in your head 1, 2, 3, then move. Okay, that way you get used to holding, finishing it. Someone's taking a picture for the newspaper. You want it to look as good as you can get it to look. So make sure that you just hit that stance, count 1, 2, 3, then move on. That way you get used to finishing the entire move. Alright guys, I really hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, let me know in the comments below. Make sure that you subscribe. I post new videos every Wednesday and we do a whole entire range of topics. So if you have an idea of what you'd want to see next, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you over on Instagram at Black Belt Samery, and I hope you have an awesome week training. Bye everybody.